If you would like to get a taste of what wearing a Grand Seiko is like, but you don't want to pay the full price of the Grand Seiko experience, which is some $1,000, this is the watch that could give you that experience, but at a fraction of a cost. Now, Seiko has always been a bit of an enigma to me. The way they manage their business and their marketing, it's weird to me. First, they discontinued the SKX, which was their flagship model. It was the king of the divers. Then they launched the Seiko 5. They didn't replace the SKX, but whatever. Now, the thing that throws me off the most is the big fan of prices that you can find inside Seiko. You can find watches, quartz watches that are around $50, $100, or you can find watches that are upwards of $10,000. And I'm not talking about Grand Seiko, I'm talking about Seiko. They have watches that are really, really expensive. So I think that for the people that don't really know about the market and about Seiko, it kind of throws them off because they're like, why would I buy a $10,000 watch when I can buy almost the same watch that looks practically the same for $100? And I get it. But in between this variety of prices, between the $100 and the $10,000, I believe I have found the sweet spot, the perfect value for money watch that Seiko could offer us, and that is this watch. This is the Seiko Baby Marine Master Jungle Green. Grand Seiko watches are expensive. They are. Couple thousands of dollars, the cheapest one. How could it be that a watch that is almost 5 times cheaper than the cheapest Grand Seiko can give you a taste of what it is to have a really expensive watch on your wrist? And the way I see it is that this is a free trial. It gives you kind of similar things and it just plants a seed that you want a Grand Seiko. And that seed starts to grow and grow and grow the more that you have this watch. Now, as I said, this is the Baby Marine Master. It is a limited edition, but it is not numbered. So it begs the question, limited to how many pieces? Because that's what makes me kind of about Seiko. They don't really say how much pieces were made. It may be limited to 500 pieces. It may be limited to 500,000 pieces. So you never know. Now, the thing about this watch is that to me is perfect. The first thing that catches your attention is the dial. It is a perfect green dial. Seiko call it the jungle green, and it is a very chameleonic dial. What I mean by that is that it changes color really easily. If you see it from this angle, it is black, completely pitch black. If you twist it a bit, it becomes a dark green, and if you put it against the light, it becomes a really beautiful emerald green, which is amazing. The way the dial plays with the light is beautiful. And then it has the golden details, the seconds hand, the diver's 200-meter text in gold. It just works. And then we have the characteristic Seiko Lume, which has always been good. It's one of the best in the industry. They can not give you a sapphire crystal, they cannot give you a lot of things. But one thing they will always give you is great lume. And I really like the feeling of having a watch in a full day, full sun, and you go inside for a moment to a room that is not that illuminated. It doesn't have to be pitch dark. And you see the lume and you see the way it shines. And to me, that is one way to know if your watch has quality. Because quality to me is a bit of a weird concept. It's hard to define, but you can feel it and you can see it. And lume is a good way to identify the quality of your watch. If it has good lume, it means someone put effort in that watch and you're getting a good bang for your buck. There may be watches that don't, but a lot of the watches with good lume are. And then we see the bezel insert. There is some controversy here and there because a lot of people say it's ceramic, some others say it's steel coated with a ceramic compound. I believe that it is a ceramic compound. It's a black bezel, and the thing is, it works. Of course it works. It's a dive watch, it has to work. But after having the Pelagos bezel sound in my life, I cannot trade it for another one. Now, the Pelagos bezel, and that will be the watch that I always compare the bezels to, because that's my favorite bezel, has a really mechanical industrial sound, which this watch doesn't have. Now, first we will compare. Here's the Pelagos sound. And then this is the Baby Marine Master sound. It sounds a bit muted. It sounds like a muffled sound. Like I said, it works, but it doesn't scratch that itch for me the way the Pelagos does. And now the thing that reminds me the most of Grand Seiko about this watch is the finishing. Grand Seiko are famous for their great craftsmanship on the finishing, and they have what we call the Saratsu finishing. So perfect artisanal finishing, handmade, that makes the watch shine. Now this watch is made out of stainless steel with a hardened coating, which means it won't scratch that easily, and that means that it will shine a bit more than regular steel. Even if you see the sheen of the steel, it has like a darker shade, maybe could look like titanium a bit. It's not as shiny as regular stainless steel, and I really like that. I think that it really goes good with the green dial. And we can find a lot of different finishings. Of course, it's not as good as Saratsu finishing, but it is good. I think of it in a way like if you went with a Saratsu master and said, I have $1,500, please polish this watch like a $1,500 watch. And that is exactly what it is. It's not a $10,000 Saratsu finish, but it is a really good $1,500 finish for a dive watch. And I really hope that I can transmit that feeling to you. Now there is one thing that Grand Seiko could learn from his small brother, which is this one, the Baby Marine Master, and it's about the size. This is a really good dive watch. It's a 42mm dive watch. Now when we look at Grand Seiko's sport collection, we get watches like the Tentagraph, which is 43mm and really tall, and we get really big dive watches, which I get it, but at the same time I don't. I think they could be better if they were much smaller. The Tentagraph was one of my favorite watches, but if it was maybe 41mm, it would be perfect. So I really think that Grand Seiko could learn. They could take this watch, just imagine this watch with a Grand Seiko dial, ceramic bezel, great lume, and a high beat movement inside of it. It would be perfect. Now the thing that I really like about this watch, it's its ergonomic profile. It's really streamlined. It really conforms to the way your wrist works, and that makes it really comfortable. And I think the case works to make the bracelet a bit more comfortable. Seiko and Grand Seiko get a lot of criticism for their bracelets, and I get it, but at the same time I don't. Grand Seiko bracelets fit perfectly to me, and when we're talking about sports watches, we get micro adjustments, but we don't get automatic micro adjustment. So you need to get your spring bar tool remover and adjust the watch, and it's just uncomfortable. But for me, it works. Now, the thing that I like about this watch, which is almost everything, is that Seiko, in my opinion, gave us the best watch they could for $1,500, which is the price of this watch. It's a limited edition watch with a beautiful dial, hardened steel, and we get the 6R movement, which is not the basic movement, but it's also not the Grand Seiko movement. So we get really good materials, components to this watch. And in my opinion, my personal opinion, this is the best value proposition from Seiko. It is probably unbeatable. And that being said, I really get why a lot of people like this watch, and I understand how it could give Grand Seiko vibes. Like, I get it. Grand Seiko is much more expensive. This watch is much more cheaper, but you can get that small taste of what the Grand Seiko is, how it feels like, because the main thing is that Grand Seiko offers quality, and there is not much more quality after this. This is $1,500 worth of quality, and this watch is worth $1,500, so that fits perfectly. I would say it's even more, it's worth more in quality than the price we pay. Now, I would pay $1,500 for this watch every day of the week. Of course, I didn't pay that. That was the retail price. It's a hard watch to find, but you can find it for maybe a bit more than half of that. So it's a really, really good value proposition from Seiko. And I love this watch so much that I end up using it almost every day.